Peace and blessings. This is Rayesa Gheewala, the Divorced Muslimah Coach. We are on an episode of Weekly Wisdom, and this week is our Q&A session. Let's see, there's been lots of different types of questions, but there's just like a few that I got that I'm going to address today, and then I'll take any other ones that you guys have. So one of the questions that was posted was, does polygamous marriage work these days? And I think that one is definitely a loaded question, and I think it's important to understand that this is not a question about someone else, but this is a question that you have to answer for yourself. And the only way that you can answer that is to educate yourself. First of all, if you're looking to find out about a polygamous relationship and you want to know if it works for you, you have to recognize first, you have to know yourself, because you're asking, does it work these days? There's lots to know about this topic and this subject. So first is to educate yourself. What does that mean, being in a polygamous relationship? Because there is the textbook definition, there is the hypothetical that a lot of us know about, and then there is also what is actually being practiced. What does that mean for you in terms of your expectations? What are you looking for in a partner, in a marriage, in a relationship, in a family? You have to know those things, number one, first, and then you have to see, are there any models of that out there? So this is not a yes or no question. This is a, what is it that you're looking for? What is it that you want? Do you know what polygamous relationships entail? Do you know of any marriages that are practicing polygamy that are successful? Because we hear a lot of the horror stories, or the things that why they don't work out. And there's many there. We have, especially even in this group, we've talked about it over and over again. We talked about depending on what country that you're living in, right? What society that you're living in. All these factors play a role in trying to understand if this is going to work for you or not. So I would say educate yourself what it means. Educate yourself. Dig deep into yourself and ask yourself, what is it that I want? What am I looking for? What are the expectations? What can I expect in this type of a relationship? In the state or the country that I live in, what are the rules? What are the regulations? What are my rights? My legal rights, my Islamic rights. Then to find out, if you are considering that with a partner, what type of a relationship does he have with his first wife? Right? Is she involved? Is it, because you guys would be partners in terms of, you would have your own homes, but you would still be partners in sharing the same man. So there's a lot to go into this. It's not just, about being in a marriage, because it adds so many layers of being in a relationship that you have to share your husband and his resources with someone else. So I hope that answers your questions and gives you some food for thought in terms of what type of research you need to do and what type of answers you need to find for yourself first before you start considering this. And then the question actually was, does it work these days? Well, actually it depends on, the person, first of all, who's following the model, what model they're following, how they're practicing it. Number two, it also depends on where you live. So lots of places, at least I'm in the United States, it doesn't work in terms of you don't have any legal rights as a second wife, everything, because the state does and the country does not recognize the second wife as a legitimate spouse. So there's that. Assalamu alaikum, Safiya, good to see you. Thanks for joining. If you're on, come and say hi, come and say salam. Tell me where you're from. Let me know what questions you have. I'm going to dig into the next question that I was asked, and you're welcome to type in your question, and I'll get to it as soon as I'm done with this one. So the other question that came in was, It's really long, so I'll just kind of paraphrase it, saying that I was able to take the first step and shake off the shackles of an unfulfilled marriage. So, mabruk. What pains me, though, is my children, who are 16, 18, and 20, so they're adults. They don't have the option to unchoose their father as I unchoose him as a husband. Correct. Absolutely correct. You're right. This is a blood tie. This is a binding obligation of a family tie between Allah and the father and the children. So yes, it cannot be unchosen. They have to figure out a way to make a relationship work with their father, as the father does with the children. And it really doesn't have anything to do with you as the mother, because you, especially having adult children, the communication is going to be very far and few in between, because you're not dealing with the nitty-gritty of parenting, maybe for the 16-year-old, but parenting an 18 and a 20-year-old, and mostly for the 16 as well. There are other going to be life issues and concerns that it would be great if you can communicate and collaborate on, but it's not necessary. So the question goes on to say they know he lives nearby, but other than meeting him for a couple of minutes, just to talk about the nitty-gritty like mail and things like that, they don't interact with him. Other people tell her children that I've seen your father downtown with so-and-so, and they feel left out and hurt because he doesn't make himself available to his children as he does with others. This makes them doubt their value as daughters, and I don't know what to do to make them feel better. I'm not really in touch with my soon-to-be ex and don't think he would react well to being told off about his misbehavior towards his own offspring. What can I do to help them? How should I approach my soon-to-be ex? Should I try contacting him and to try and make him understand what his behavior causes in the girls, or should I leave it to them? This is a loaded question. It's a great question. It's multifaceted, and part of it I already addressed about the obligation. And let's see. So first I want to acknowledge, like, I sense that as mom, you're really trying to help your children in terms of how they're feeling. And you yourself have a lot of feelings, presumably stemming from your own relationship and your own marriage about their father, that even as you write this, there's a lot of upset and disappointment in the way he's behaving with his children that is coming from you, that I can see here. So first, understand and recognize that is yours. It belongs to you, and it's separate than the issues that your children are having with their other parent, with their father. So don't bring that into that, even subconsciously. Second, they're feeling bad that dad is not making time for them, but he could be making time for other people. So I think, and then here you're saying that you want to know what to do to make them feel better. So bottom line is, fact is, you can't make them feel anything. Trying to manage their feelings, control their feelings through outcomes and your behavior is not going to work, because it doesn't work that way. Their feelings are coming from their own thinking around their relationship with their father. You cannot go in their mind and change their feelings. Even if you tell them to feel something else, it just doesn't work that way. So what you can do, first, don't bring your own marital stuff into communication with your children about their father. Second is that help them to understand that his behavior and his actions, what he's doing or not doing, one is that they don't need to take it personally. Now, a lot of people say, oh, well, that's so hard. Well, it's hard if you just don't know how to do that, yes. And that's what I teach in my program. That's what I help people to understand, how to not take things personally. When people do certain actions, it's not about you or anyone else. It's they have to own their actions, and it's all about what's going on inside of them. So that's number one, is to not take his actions personally. And what that means is that it's his actions of whether he chooses to make time for his daughters is not a reflection of their value or their worth. Okay? And so that's how you do that. That's part of how you do that. And so then they don't, when they start to doubt their value as daughters or as girls, as women, you can talk to them about that their value is not derived from what their father does or does not do. Granted, a human condition is that, especially for women, they are searching for validation through their father. However, it's not necessary for them to receive validation from their father or any other human being, especially now that they're adults. That validation comes from the fact that they exist in their relationship with Allah and their relationship with their self, because the reality is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already validated, honored, and dignified and valued each one of us, that we don't need to seek that externally. So, you know, getting to what you say about, I don't know what to do, like, to make them feel better. I addressed that. I'm not really in touch with my soon-to-be ex and don't think he would react well to being told off about his misbehavior towards his own offspring. Right there, there's some feelings going on for you underneath when you write that. So addressing that, number one. Number two is, you're absolutely right. He's not going to take it well. He's going to become defensive, and he may explode. He may attack you and just make it about something else, because nobody likes to be told off. Nobody likes to be told, oh, you're doing this, this, and this. So if you feel like that's like you have a dynamic of communication with your ex in communicating the message, without the emotion of feeling like, you know, there's a lot of feelings going on in here about that, with that statement. If you can express and communicate that without attacking or defending or judging or blaming your ex, then go ahead and do that. But it sounds as if that's not possible in this situation. So I wouldn't take it there, because it's not going to serve the purpose or help the situation that you're trying to help. I think if and when you do get to that place, and again, that's what I teach as well in my program, how to connect with yourself, how to stand in your truth, and how to communicate that so the other person can see that message rather than the emotion and the big feelings that you're having around it. So, you know, it's better not to. Should I try contacting him and making him understand what his behavior causes? So again, it's not going to be helpful if you don't know how to do it. The how, the delivery makes all the difference. But what you can do is that you can work with your daughters in helping them to see that when they recognize, number one, they don't take it his behavior personally, his actions personally, his lack of reaching out and maintaining a relationship personally, and they know where their value and their worth comes from, you're in a better position to be able to help them maintain their obligation, because there's an obligation here on both sides, on the side of the father and on the side of the children. Okay, you can't do anything about the father's obligation. That's on him. But you can help your children maintain their ties of kinship, right? By bringing it back to their relationship with Allah and doing it for the pleasure of Allah and not taking it personally, how he responds when they reach out. So they can be the first one to reach out. If he's, perhaps there's expectations like father should do this, I expect father to do that, he's not doing this, he's the adult. Well, you know, 16, 18, and 20, they are considered adults, you know, in the eyes of Allah. So they can reach out, they can make gestures, small steps, baby steps in, you know, reaching out for coffee, reaching out, you know, for a walk in the park, reaching out for a phone call, conversations without any expectations that I'm going to expect it to turn into a full-blown relationship. So you have to take baby steps and start with that. And I hope that was helpful. And I also did a video on this with one of my guests, Pia Antico, and we talked a lot about this. I will post it here in the comments as well. So you can listen to it and get some help and benefit from that. And hey, Shima, good to see you. And so those were the questions that came in to me for the Q&A. And if you're watching this now, you can go back and listen to the replay. And I don't see any other questions here. And since I have to hop off and go and support my ladies in my mastermind group in really digging deep into finding out how they can empower themselves, and they can step into taking charge of these situations just like this, without waiting for the other person to change, without waiting for the other person to step up and doing what it is that you want them to do. How to get yourself unstuck and move through your challenges in a way that is in alignment with your truth and pleasing to Allah. So I'm going to hop off and go join my ladies in my mastermind group, and I will talk to you all soon. Take care, peace and blessings.